Instead of cutting just a small piece, she cut off her entire right ear. Many years ago, in the ancient land of the Yoruba people, where magic flowed like water and gods walked among mortals, lived the mighty Sango. His voice could shake mountains and his anger could split the skies. But even the most powerful men can be moved by love, and Sango had 3 wives who moved his heart in different ways. Oba, the first wife, had been raised from birth to be a queen. Her bearing was regal, her knowledge of palace traditions unmatched. Each morning she would wake before dawn to oversee the palace affairs. Her voice gentle but firm as she directed the servants. The palace must reflect Sango's greatness, she would say, adjusting the elaborate arrangements of fresh flowers and fruits in the great palace. Everything must be perfect. The servants loved Oba for her kindness. Our first queen has hands of gold, they would whisper among themselves. She makes the palace run like a well-oiled drum. Then there was Osun, whose beauty was legendary throughout the land. Her eyes sparkled like a morning dew, and her laugh could make flowers bloom. But it was in the kitchen where her true magic emerged. Cooking is not just about feeding the body, Osun would say to the young kitchen maids. It is about touching the soul. The third wife, Oya, was different from her co-wives. Quick-witted and observant, she moved through the palace like a swift wind, seeing everything but revealing little. While others might overlook her, she was always watching, always learning. Knowledge, she would murmur to herself, is the true source of power. Every evening, when the sun painted the sky orange and red, Sango would make his way to Osun's canvas, drawn by the delicious smells coming from her kitchen. "Ah, my sweet Osun," Sango would exclaim, his eyes brightening at the sight of her cooking. "What delicious dish have you prepared for me today?" Osun would smile mysteriously, stirring her pot with graceful movements. "My lord, today I have prepared your favorite amala with pepper soup. The spices are just the way you like them." "Nobody makes pepper soup like you do, Osun," Sango would say, closing his eyes as he savored each spoonful. "It warms my heart and fires my spirit." From her corner, Oba felt her heart crack like dry earth in the drought season. She remembered when Sango's eyes had shone for her that way, in the early days of their marriage. Oya, ever observant, approached her co-wife quietly. "The heart is like a river, Oba," she said softly. "Its course can change with time." "But I am his first wife," Oba whispered, her voice thick with unshed tears. "I have given him everything, my youth, my loyalty, my love. How can he prefer her simple soups to all I offer?" "Be careful," Oya warned. "Jealousy is like poison. It kills slowly but surely." But Oba was beyond hearing such wisdom. Each day she watched as Sango spent more time in Osun's chambers, drawn by the incredible aromas that wafted from her kitchen. Each night she lay awake, plotting ways to recapture her husband's attention. One day, after watching Sango praise Osun's cooking yet again, Oba gathered her courage and approached Osun in the kitchen. "Co-wife," Obo said, her voice trembling, "I must know your secret. How do you make your food so special that our husband cannot resist it?" Osun looked at Oba, a clever glint in her eye. She glanced around to make sure they were alone, then leaned close to whisper. "Do you really want to know?" Osun asked, her voice honey-sweet, but her heart full of mischief. "Yes, please, I would do anything to make my husband love me as he once did." Osun's lips curved into a subtle smile. "Very well, but you must promise never to reveal this secret." I promise," Oba said eagerly. "The secret is sacrifice," Osun whispered. "Each time I cook for our husband, I cut off a tiny piece of my ear and add it to his food. The sacrifice of my own flesh, shows my complete devotion to his happiness. Oba's eyes widened. Your ear. Yes, Osun said, touching her head wrap that cleverly covered her ears. But remember, sister, the greater the sacrifice, the greater the love he will feel. That night, Oba couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, Osun's words echoing in her mind. The greater the sacrifice, the greater the love, she repeated to herself. The next morning, Oba rose before dawn. Her hands shaking with determination, she went to her kitchen, took a sharp knife, and did something that would change her life forever. Instead of cutting just a small piece, she cut off her entire right ear. If a small piece earned such love, she thought through her pain, my complete sacrifice will make him love me more than anyone. Through tears and trembling hands, she prepared Sango's favorite pepper soup, carefully cooking her ear within it. She served it with fresh, steaming amala on the side. My beloved husband, she called to Sango, I have prepared something special for you today. Sango sat down, excited to taste Oba's cooking. But as he stirred the pepper soup, his hand struck something unusual. He fished it out, and his eyes grew wide with horror as he recognized a human ear. What is this abomination? His voice boomed like thunder, shaking the palace walls. Are you trying to kill me with this witchcraft? No, my love, Oba cried, falling to her knees. It is my ear. I sacrificed it to show you my love, just as Osun does. Osun does what? Sango turned to his second wife, who stood in the doorway, her face pale. Osun's deception was revealed, and Sango's rage knew no bounds. Lightning crackled from his fingers as he roared, Leave my palace, both of you. Oba ran from the palace, her tears flowing so heavily, they carved a path in the earth. Where her tears fell, they became the mighty Oba River. Sango, in his fury, called down rain upon Osun, and she too melted away, becoming the Osun River. Through all of this, Oya had been watching and learning. She had discovered many of Sango's magical secrets through careful observation. But seeing the fate of her sister wives, she chose a different path. When Sango finally discovered that she had learned his powers, she too became a river goddess, but one with a special purpose. She became the protector of women in marriage, unleashing her fury upon any who would abuse their wives, as she had witnessed in Sango's palace. Sango, consumed by the tragedy of his household, called down lightning upon his palace. Some say he hanged himself in grief, but the truth is far more powerful. He drove himself into the ground at Ira, emerging as the god of thunder and lightning. Now he rules the skies, his voice still heard in every thunderclap. But the story doesn't end there. To this day, when the Oba River meets the Osun River, you can hear a mighty splash and a sound of angry voices. It's said to be Oba and Osun still fighting over their betrayal. You deceived me, the water of Oba crash. You were foolish to believe me, Osun's waters reply. The sound is so loud that people from nearby villages often gather to listen to the quarreling rivers. Some say that during the rainy season, when Sango's thunder rolls across the sky, the argument grows even louder, as if he's still scolding his quarreling wives. And so,